Hey there. Welcome to another episode of Career Retrospectives on an unusual night tonight, Sunday night, December 18th. I am joined by my two good men, Kyle and Mike. What's going on?
Hey, guys.
Going on, man. Wrapping it all up.
Yeah, believe it or not, this is our last live stream of the year, our last discussion of the year for Career Retrospectives. I know it's like, what's going on? As if you for those of you who know about our YouTube channel and look at this carefully, Kyle's face for the thumbnail was priceless, and he volunteered for the thumbnail for this one. I'm proud of you, bud. There we go.
Proud of you.
Yes, but as the title of this podcast or video suggests, we're going to be breaking down our top 5 worst albums of 2022. So, without further ado, I'm going to let the K-Man start this one off. Kyle, what is your first pick for the worst, your top 5, your number 5 worst album of 2022?
Yeah, so this year had a lot of very mediocre releases. My number 5 actually was a tie score-wise between 2. So it was kind of a toss-up. I actually wasn't sure until this morning which one was going to make the spot. I'll tell you which one didn't make the spot real quick. As a dishonorable mention, we got Disturbed's latest record, Divisive. It's insanely generic. It was an attempt to go back to their earlier days with more of those tribal beats as opposed to like the ballads. And there's even one of those on there. The lyrics are just so cliched and just exactly what you'd expect. Just sounds very uninspired. And in one of the songs, they even threw in the Down with the Sickness ooh ah, ah, ah sound, and it is terrible. But my number 5 had to go to Def Leppard's Diamond Star Halos, which we talked about on this channel before when it came out earlier in the year.
Yes.
This is such a unfocused record that I struggle to this day to figure out who this is for. Because if you're an old school Def Leppard fan, you're probably not going to like a majority of this. I think there's only like 2 songs that I ended up finding enjoyable at all. And if you're someone that this is your first introduction to them, like a new fan, you're also probably not going to find this enjoyable. It doesn't keep up with modern sounds. So it's not like they're trying to go for a modern audience with it either. Just very unfocused throughout. Some cringy lyrics here and there. I'm not gonna go too much into it. We did go pretty in depth with it back then. You can go and check out that video for our full thoughts. But yeah, number 5, very unfocused. Kind of just feels like them trying to regain relevance in a very misguided way. Def Leppard, Diamond Star Halos.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, this is on my list. I'm not gonna tell you where, but definitely I agree with you on that. Mike, any comments for it at all, or do you want to? Are you ready for your next pick?
It's on my list too, so I'm gonna have to comment on it as well. So,
okay.
All right, we're all in agreement here.
I'm gonna leave it at what Kyle said for now is what I think, and then I'll be talking about it again, folks.
All right,
this is the echo chamber here, so get ready for it.
Oh my god. Well, all right, but Mike, why don't you share your number 5? What was your number 5 worst album of the year?
So I'm first of all, I'm sticking to things I reviewed on here as my ultimate list. 2022 is a weird year for me with listening to music. I really listened to only albums I really liked, and when I started to listen to an album of a band that I didn't like, I didn't finish it. I know that sounds bizarre, but I had a hard time actually going into depth with a lot of albums. I was mostly focusing on listening to music through this channel and giving my opinions on it. So hopefully next year I'll be able to really do a comprehensive list of everything that I listen to and try to find a real absolute list. But for number 5, just out of straight cringe factor and just how I feel about this band, that was Five Finger Death Punch's Afterlife was my number 5. So yeah. After going back to this one and listening to all the stuff that we did, just the straight cringe and like how this is one of those kinds of bands that I dislike as a band more so than I think their old sound would be actually really good for me. This album just kind of sums up just an inauthentic kind of experience, very kind of a fake, just overall attitude, fake kind of, just the lyrics are cringe, just very inconsistent. One minute you think like you're getting treated to a heavy CD, and then the next thing you know, they go off into kind of like some very kind of ballad, about just like you know it just, you just can't get a grip on what's being presented. And it just the lyrics, the band's image, the overall inconsistencies really just was like riding a roller coaster for me for this one. And I found myself like, besides the very beginning, starting out thinking it was going to be good, it just really I hate CDs that take a nosedive all at the end, because they're the most forgettable. When they just when they end strong, at least I have a redemption. But it just started good, and then it just nosedived after that. So so I figured Death Punch, just for me, is like, number 5 on my most disliked albums of 2022.
Boo, it's terrible.
This one did not make my list, but I definitely agree it's their weakest release. This is one of those, I mentioned earlier and in the last video, this is a very mediocre year, especially for artists that I actually really like putting out some of their worst material. I have like 3 or 4 huge examples of that, and this is one of them. This is an album I was actually really looking forward to, especially after their last one, and man, what a letdown. It, like you said, just very misleading. It started and I thought it was gonna be great, and then it just nosedived in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I mean, this is on my list too. Based on everything that we've gone by. This is on my list too, though, but I'll get to it when I get to it. My number 5 might be surprising to some people, but I mean, if you listen to us and you watch us and you understand, you've listened to us for any period of time, I'll be the first to tell you that this one was so many, just because I have our list pulled up on as I'm watching us, our live chat go by too. I'm looking at all the releases that came out too, because I'm thinking to myself, what did we go through this year and which ones were the worst? Just straight up, unfortunately. But believe it or not, my number 5 is Megadeth's. Was it the sick, the dying, and the dead? If that's what it's called, right? Yeah.
Yep.
My number 1 is like the worst one, but like this one was again, going back to that conversation we had initially when we first talked about this record when it first came out. I only really knew of Megadeth from like their 80s and stuff, even into the early 90s. But after that, I kind of went off the rails with them. I didn't really follow up. I didn't really listen to a lot of other stuff by them. And going into this, like, it was a brand new release by Megadeth. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do it. I'm all for it. Whatever. Yeah. I'm all for listening to new stuff. I'm not against new material by older artists. I'm really not. But this one was very just confusing at some points, I guess you could say. Like, it was just like there was some songs. I don't want to echo. I don't want to echo too much of what we talked about, because we did cover it for a good solid 45 minutes, or almost an hour. But I will say this one was just a very just a lot of questionable choices. I mean, I mean, if you slap the name, it's one thing if it was Metallica. If Metallica's like, here's the new album, boom, and then the album sucked, then I'd have a little more like weight with it. But if the fact that it's Megadeth, I'm like, okay, I can understand it, but at the same time, like, all right, we got the album, it wasn't my favorite one, truthfully. It was, I didn't like it, but as time went on, I disliked it more and more, truthfully, since we went on from that stream back in, was it like June, July? I forget when we did it, but yeah, that's my number 5 for the year. I was a lot of questionable choices in that for me. Looking back, I'm like, yeah, it was okay. It wasn't great, but that's my number 5. But yeah.
Yeah, that's another one of those releases I was talking about.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it, and really let me down.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was very inconsistent with moments it felt like it wanted you to remember, and then a lot of it felt like it just wanted to just be one solid note, the same kind of sound that just keeps repeating. It's like they rehashed the same riffs and the same vocals, like inconsistent vocals. I mean, obviously, Dave's vocals have never been consistent with to the level that you want them to be. It's more been the musicianship that shines through. But even here, I mean, obviously with the freaking master on guitar, you know, you couldn't save his kind of just the main theme of the song was just very forgettable and just inconsistent for sure. So I could see where you could come from with that.
Yeah, it was a lot just, I don't want to echo them too much, but what they're saying is pretty much nails on what I was thinking too. So
Yeah,
truthfully.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's go back over to, was it Kyle for number 4 now, right? Yeah.
Yep, number 4. So my number 4 is one that we did not talk about on the channel. It's by the band Set It Off. Their latest album Elsewhere that came out earlier in the year. This is a band that I've been following all the way since their early days, like pre-debut album, going back to like when they were just releasing EPs, like well over a decade ago at this point. They started off as like more of a theatrical, not so much metalcore, but kind of like just like just under metalcore. No, I wouldn't even say hardcore. Kind of like like the kind of easy core type sound, but more theatrical.
Nice.
Which I enjoyed a lot. Their second album, incredible, and then they kind of took a little nosedive in quality from there, but nothing bad until here. This record is so questionable that it actually only had 3 songs on here that I enjoyed at all. 2 of them are very, very good. I'll give them that. The song Skeleton Projector and the song called Why Do I, which I think is the best on the record. But when you have an album, I think it's like 15 tracks, I think it is 15 or 16, and only 3 are salvageable, and they're all at the beginning of the record. Yeah, this was actually a pain to get through every time. And even I actually saw them live when they're promoting this, and all their old songs that they played had such a good like crowd reaction, and then these tracks just brought the energy so far down. It's just so much different than what they did in the past, and I'm all up for bands trying new sounds, but this one is just odd. Again, they're trying too much with the theatrics here, I think, but they took away that other aspect of them, and it's more pop oriented, which again I'm fine with, but there's just a lot of cringe in it. A lot of the lyrics are centered around like girls and relationships and things, and I think they're a little past that point in their career. This is now like the 5th album of songs like that. It just didn't do it for me. There's some tracks worth checking out, but overall just huge misstep in my opinion. Hoping that they go back from this. Last time they had a misstep, they did turn around a bit on the record following that, but here we are again, so I guess we'll see. Honestly kind of lost faith after this one. So number 4.
All righty. Mike, what's your number 4?
Mike. Yeah, so for me, my number 4 was that Simple Minds record, The Direction of the Heart. That just wasn't it just really was just so kind of not memorable to me, and just not my style, and also so I don't know, I'll have a little debate with you guys, or a little discussion with you guys. What's worse, a band that you know nothing about but you may have heard like a song from, but have no momentum? So like, hey, they were good, and then they're bad, then they got good again, and then that album wasn't so good, and so far and so forth. So but by the time you get to the album you're picking, that you're not sure like how you feel anymore, and you may be like really disappointed in their last stuff, so that when you hear this, it's almost a redemption from something you heard previously, so you're like higher on it than someone else who knows nothing, so like I don't know what's worse. Sometimes I'm the kind of person who, if I love everything the band did, and then after, like, let's say the 90s, they started sucking, and I had nothing to look forward to, and then I hear something that's semi-decent, I'm higher on it than I am for a band that just, like I have no memory of. So for this band, it was like I had no memory of them, so it just felt like I had no connection to anything they were bringing in this album. Just not a fan of like the kind of electro kind of, I don't know, what do you want to call it, like rock, that just like felt very anemic, very kind of just didn't like have any life to it. Just not memorable, with the choruses, and it just kind of, once again, it started out strong and it really fell flat, like at the end, like almost, couldn't find much in it that I really enjoyed. So so for me, Simple Minds, it was definitely this album for my number 4.
Yeah, and Mike, I agree with you that one, this is somewhere on my list, but I'll get to that, so I'm not going to echo thoughts on the album right now.
Yeah.
But I will agree with you that for me, if I don't know a band and have history and an album just sucks, there's nothing to back it up. Like on that Set It Off album that I just talked about, I could be a little more forgiving at certain aspects of it, because I'm like, I know they could do more. It's just a misstep. Maybe they'll get better on the next one. So I'll still probably check out the next one. But after this, if I hear Simple Minds is playing another record, I'm not going to go back and hear it. Like I'm not going to go and listen to it.
Right.
So, and I've had that happen with so many bands that they release one bad album and then they turn it around again. I'm like, all right, there we go. They turn the ship around. On the other hand, on the flip side, I think it's more devastating when a band, depending on how big of a fan you are, puts out just a like an atrocious record that you can't take anything away from. So sometimes that's the absolute worst. I think that's even worse than just hearing, a bad album by someone you don't know.
Right. Which is my reason why I have a hard time listening to certain albums right away, because I have such a high expectation and my world can be crushed if like they just don't deliver. That like when a band, let's just say that like haven't put an album out 6-7 years, and they're like, oh my God, like Stratovarius, it's the first time they release an album in like so long, and like you're freaking up in the clouds, and then you like, it's just nothing you want to hear. It's just worse than if you had faded off from them or early on their career, and then you heard something and we're like, like it's not bad, but I don't have any kinds of super aspirations for it,
Yeah, well, to bring back the Set It Off thing again, that's kind of similar. So their second album, incredible, like front to back, 10 out of 10 record. One after that was a huge drop in quality to the point where I hardly revisit it. But the fourth one was super solid again and brought back aspects of those like first 2 records. So on this one, I was, I had that expectation again. I was like, all right, they're at this point in their career, they're back to doing this, and then they just dropped it again.
Up and
So,
down.
Yeah.
That'll do it,
Yeah, I just want to share my quick thoughts on this really quick. It's funny. It's funny. You guys were saying how, I mean, Mike especially was like, I don't even know like one song by them. We're going to talk about this out anyways. For this one, we did because we did Simple Minds, Direction of the Heart earlier this year, and it's funny. Their previous album, which I told you guys about, I've listened to it, and it sounds so like more instrumentation. There's more drum sounds, there's more guitar sounds, more bass. It's like this was just like I'm agreeing with you though completely. It's not. I mean, some people are like praising it, but it's really just like it's meh truthfully. But it's like this. Their previous album, Walk Between Worlds, sounds so different. Like even the synthesizers sound different. Like and they don't even rely on that much. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'll have to send you guys that link. You guys check that one out too. But it was like there was a track on there called Summer. The opening of the song is a bass riff that sounds like that sounds really sick, and you're like, oh my God, that sounds so cool. but and then it goes into like I don't want to describe too much of because I don't we got other things to talk about, but it's like
Mm.
I have to send you guys that album because it's this was a dip compared to that. Truthfully, I was really surprised.
Right,
How
right.
this one was like it was like here's like Walk Between Worlds here and here, and then you go down here and it's like oh there's Direction of the Heart. So yeah, it was just new because me going off like the other albums like oh cool new release, I got excited and then I was let down. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is not on my
Definitely.
list though, because I still like a couple of tracks, but like, but what I have not gone back to it since. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
that's just me. But yeah, it's my fourth, right?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So we talked about. I mean, Kyle already touched on this, but I was in shock when I was listening to this album. So we can talk about it. But Def Leppard's Diamond Star Halos.
Mm.
You talk about a band who that has a really established legacy in the world of rock with a name like Def Leppard, been around since 1977. You know, hair metal band, hard rock band, established, can sell out anywhere you go. And you put out first album since 2015. So I mean, you can cut them slack there. This was like the titling, like the actual like I cannot get over this. You rock me. There were so many questionable choices on here. I was like, I literally sat there. I was like, where's Pour Some Sugar on Me? Where's Hysteria? Where's Armageddon It? Or even like that's all officer, but like where's like the Bringing On the Heartbreak stuff? Where's the Let's Get Rocked? I was like, what the hell is going on? And I literally, my sister was watching me as I was listening to it. She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm just like, I'm not okay though. It's like the fact that someone wrote a song called just the letter U, ROK, am I, you rock me, is the most cringiest, trippy. Oh my god, I'm angry now. It's upsetting. That definitely because their last record was pretty good back in 2015 or 16. I forget when it was. I liked a couple songs there a lot, but then they put this out. I'm like, what's going on inside Joe Elliott's head?
Just remember, JT, that's what kids want to see is abbreviations that look like you're texting someone, and that way they know you're with them and that you're cool and you're not the age that you are. Yeah, that's how we do it.
It's like I'm the cool dad here. You rock me, man.
I spell things with letters.
I spell things with just letters, yo.
One letter.
Rock me or
rock, and I need to spell rock right because I'm a rebel.
The worst part about that is You Rock Me is actually like an old, like that sounds like an old 80s Def Leppard song.
I know, it's so bad.
It's the fact that they spelled it that way.
Yeah.
That it's just like, why? You could have just called it You Rock Me.
Yeah.
Normally. And it would have been a normal Def Leppard title.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't have got as much criticism.
Like let's be honest, they've always been a band that's been, their lyrics have been heavily just 80s cheese.
100%. I mean, look, Pour Some Sugar Me is like the definition of like a song on Viagra. Let's put it that way. Let's be real. Yeah. But like, come on. So it's just the truth. Yeah. But that is my number 4 was Diamond Star Halos. I'll never forget sitting down on my couch and be like staring at the TV saying, "Oh my God, what is wrong?"
Yeah, definitely.
Just in shock completely. Yep. But that's my number 4. Now we're up to our number 3, Kyle the
K-Man, the Kalinator.
So this is another one that we talked about on this channel. I think I might be the only one of us to have this on their worst of list. Chicago is Born for This Moment.
Okay.
I debated whether or not I should even put this on here.
I was about to say, just because you didn't even like
I'm in the same, I'm kind of in the same boat similarly with Mike in his regards to Simple Minds, whereas it's slightly different because I did know, some background Chicago. I've just never actually enjoyed their music. So I felt like it was kind of unfair in a way to put it on here, but it was still a release from the year, so I couldn't get around it. They're not for me. Again, like I said in the review that we did a couple of weeks ago, if you're a Chicago fan, you'll probably enjoy this significantly more than I did. I do think that even in terms of them, it is pretty weak. A lot of the horn sections on here are the pretty much the exact same thing throughout. It's like that same like ascending and like descending through the scales. It's not great. A lot of the horn sections feel shoehorned in there. It had one song that I took out of this that I thought was all right, and then the rest of it just felt
The Mermaid.
The Mermaid.
definitely not the Mermaid, and definitely not whatever that last track was. I don't even remember what the house was. It House on the Hill or something.
Yeah, House on the
Yeah.
Hill.
House on a Hill. Yeah, that was a train wreck. Then the single from the record just came off as a modern day Chicago attempt at a modern Maroon 5 song. Just very questionable stuff on here. I understand. I'm not a fan of it, so I'm not gonna crap on it too much. But for me, my personal taste, I gotta put it at number 3. Again, you want my full thoughts, you could go watch the video from a couple weeks back. But if you are a Chicago fan, you'll probably enjoy this a little bit more than I did.
Don't let Kyle trick you. We were all hanging out together recently to do some reaction videos, which will be showing up here, folks. Stay tuned.
They are edited and ready to go.
They're ready to go. So we're gonna be dropping them little reaction videos. To tell us what you think. But Kyle got a call. His ringtone off, and it was Mermaids by the Chicago. And I was like, I was like, Kyle. And he quickly he was hitting the button to stop it. Like, oh my God, so you can't hear it, but he couldn't do it. Something was wrong.
It was actually our New York time.
Our New York Times, yeah. That's the one. I'm sorry. The horns were so shoehorned in that I just wasn't sure if it was the Mermaid or.
And then it was only the part of our New York time that says our New York time over and over
again, until you just want to gouge your ears out with a hot spoon. There you go.
I mean, yeah, that's really all I have to say on this one. It's one that I didn't expect to enjoy going into it.
We lost JT. He's just staring into the abyss. There we go.
I'm looking at my notes. Damn it!
Can we get like a little heart monitor thing on your screen that like lets us know where you're at? Like, you know what I mean? And then it'll flatline when you just like look off, and then we can kind of like, I don't know, people can like pay money on the thing to wake you up or something.
Support our Patreon and wake me up.
Patreon and wake me up. Oh, that's funny. Well done.
Oh yeah, but yeah. So this was Kyle's pick for Chicago's board for this moment.
Cool.
And then this is our number 3, right? Just making sure.
Yep.
All right, and then Mike, it's your turn. You're number 3 of the year.
All right. It's an echo. Diamond Star Hill, Def Leppard's number 3. Like, once again, I'm sticking to, obviously, like, I could throw a dart at the entire discography of the entire world music. I could throw a dart at a random artist. Machine Gun Kelly, excuse me. Sorry, I have a chest cold, and it's kind of going right to my wherever this area.
It's going to your halo,
my uvula. And I could find an album that's probably worse than Def Leppard, Diamond Star Halo, but I'm sticking to things we reviewed here, and Diamond Star Halo was just, what was that?
Yeah, you're good. Go on.
And it just felt so out of touch. Like, it felt like a band who literally forgot its identity, and it's trying to be young, and it's trying to kind of like rekindle the old kind of like themes that young rock stars would talk about. My guitar, or fired up kick. Let's just name a song Kick. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, unfortunately, you have to grow up. And it's okay to have fun. Like, look at freaking the Scorpions album. They had some like Wham Bam, Thank You Ma'am in my Trans Am. Like, we get it. Mm-hmm. You guys are old and you want to act young. That's cool, but you got to back it up with music. You can't just, let's write the title be this and let's say it over and over in a song, but have no music or like any kind of like composition that can make you interested. And unfortunately, that's what happens in this industry. Is everything looks good, the skeleton looks good, but there's no flesh on it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the album has a certain album look, the titles look, but then when you get into it, there's no flesh, there's no meat on the bones. It's just kind of it's all for show, and they have nothing to prove, like we've talked about this before. Check the review out. There's nothing, there's probably about on this album is probably only I think I only liked a couple songs off of it. I think it was Open Your Eyes. It was actually pretty interesting sounding, the group vocals on that. And then All We Need, I think I like that one too. More once again, the beginning ones were just cringe as hell and very just felt out of touch. So yeah, Diamond Star Halo, Def Leppard was definitely my lowest of the channel's reviewed albums. Yep. Number 3, not the lowest. Number 3. Sorry.
All right. It's my turn.
Use her turn, sir.
All right. So
Let it rip.
What'd you say?
I said let it rip, bro.
Oh, I thought it was just like else. I was like, wait, what's going on?
Kick it. Rip it.
Kick
Fire it up.
kick.
Fire it up, man. Fire it up.
Push it real good. Sorry. What? Wrong decade. Sorry, everyone. All right. So, all right. It pains me to say this. As I'm going off my notes here too. I'm just making sure I have it right. Where is it? Hold on. All right. As much as he's waiting, he's just ready. So, he's like, all right. So it's one we actually, believe it or not, we already touched on too. But this might surprise both of you, but the more I think about it and the more I refuse to listen to it, makes me think about it less and less. Therefore, I think it was a worst album of the year. I'm going back to Simple Minds. You're gonna think I'm crazy.
Hey, there we go. Woo!
All right, we're throwing some.
I thought you said Geordie Part 2.
It's
Geordie Part 2.
For those of you who don't know, Geordie is a terrible album.
Yes,
Geordie
2021
sucks.
Yes.
Too bad this isn't 2021. We could bash that too.
Again, yeah.
That is default. Everyone's number one right there. The worst release ever in the history of the 21st century.
Actually, I don't even think it'd be my worst of 2021.
Oh, okay.
I know of at least one worse than that.
Really?
That's not worse, but that's that. The fact that you just said that makes me scary, but that's okay.
Yeah.
This one. Okay, I want to just. Okay, Walk Between Worlds was a shocking surprise for me. So as I kind of briefly touched on, going into this, I was like, all right, I'm expecting good at best. I mean, because look, I'm not expecting like 5-star caliber review, tour across the US, blah blah blah. I'm not expecting that. I was expecting something that I at least enjoy. And the more I listened to it, the more I listened to it when we did our initial review reaction, the whole discussion about it, the more I realized straight up, I'm a big fan of that Simple Minds style. I'm a big fan of like the band. I would go see them. Honest to God, I would go see them because of Walk Between Worlds and also their 80s stuff as well. I do like enough of their 80s stuff for the point where I would go see them. But this was like, it's almost like every song. I mean, we talked about this with Viva Las Vengeance with Panic at the Disco. Every song sounded the same. This one, practically every single song sounded production-wise the same too. The production was great, but like every song was like, all right, it was like one ambient noise for 35 minutes. I hate to say that because I really like them too, and I would go see them. But I'm like, oh my God, this is like so strange to me that I like I said, I like the band a lot, but this was just like a big fat question mark of why. I mean, the melody, like for Mike's points and Kyle's points and my points too. There was so little diverse in their sound. There was just like one big noise, and it pains me to talk about this because I really like them a lot. But for me, this was my number 3. I mean, it's just a lot of questionable choices. A lot of it did sound the same. Truthfully, a lot of it was just the same noise. A lot of the same, like even the guitar sounds and chords were all the same too for the most part. But anyways, I digress. This is my number 3. Simple Minds' Direction of the.
Simple of the direction of the fart. That's it.
Direction of the fart.
And when the direction of the fart is in your direction, you better run. All right.
Exactly.
Yeah, because if you get hit with that, it's game over. Game over.
Oh my god, yes, but yeah, this is my number 3. Kyle, what is your number 2?
Yeah, come on, Kyle.
Well, for my number 2, you don't
Yes,
even
here
have
it
to get
comes.
off this page.
I
It is
know
Oh my
it-
god, I knew it.
Wait,
Simple
what's
Minds,
the
Direction of the Heart.
Oh, there it is. Yes.
I don't want to, echo too much of what you guys have already said. You both
You're
already covered most of it. But this one, the vocally, there were some moments on here and I felt bad, but there were some actually laughable moments vocally on this. It was just an electro pop album that sounded the same throughout the whole thing. There was one track that I thought was borderline decent. I'm not going to add it into my playlist or anything. I think it was Human Traffic.
Yeah.
That one I remember being relatively decent, but other than that, everything else just blended together, went from either just being forgettable to just
Right.
straight up bad. There was nothing on here that stood out to me. And then there's bonus tracks,
That's right.
and
Oh,
those somehow made it worse. They brought my score down even more,
yeah.
which is a shame. But yeah, no, I don't want to echo too much. But even the album cover wasn't original. I touched on it in the video that we did on this, but there are 2 other bands that have album covers, one only within the past year and a half, that look just like this.
Yeah.
It's not nothing about this album was original. It was all just, and I don't take points off for album covers, but that just to me just shows more about how unoriginal the album was. I was like, I could think of at least 2 bands that have done almost identical covers here with the gas mask on it and the band name above it and the album title below. Very generic, electro pop style throughout. All sound the same. Vocally, just real questionable at times. So yeah, number 2. Also, Direction of the Heart, title track, not even from the record.
It was a bonus track.
Actually, it was released before. It was I think it was actually a song from the deluxe edition of the previous record.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah,
It's very odd. Slipknot did a similar thing with All Out Life. Then they named the following album after a line from that record or for a line from that song, and then it did not appear on the album at all. Really weird decision, but yeah, no, number 2 here. So with that, since you guys already talked about it, Mike, I'll throw it over to you.
There we
Mike,
go.
you're number 2, buddy.
Okay, so I'll show you the trend here. Okay, Simple Minds, I don't know them, so very low expectation. Get not much, so it's 4th of the 5 on my list. Okay, then we have Diamond Star Halos, Def Leppard, massive expectation because I know of all their massive hits, so they go higher on this list at number 3. So I couldn't shift those 2 because one is well known, one isn't well known. Well, with my top 2 and my top 1, you have the exact same dynamic. So the number 2 is is not. I have no clue about this group, no expectations. Kyle knows where I'm going with this one. I'm steering the ship, and maybe I thought maybe I saw a twinkle in his eye, but maybe that's just he's having a small.
Haven't caught on yet.
Maybe he's got a small seizure. I'm not too sure. Check on Kyle. Somebody, make sure he's okay. He's gone. He's gone. Everybody, he's gone.
Kyle, breathe.
Kyle, breathe. Damn it, breathe. All right, he's back. Okay, good.
All right, I'm back.
Told you that twinkle in the eye is dangerous. So my number 2, Quedeca. Sorry, I didn't mean to haunt you. No idea who the hell this group is, who this guy is. Just watched a couple reviews of his interviews with different people on the internet. I may have heard a couple random tracks of the stuff he did, but this album is just, the only thing it serves is it has an atmospheric vibe that has some cool cool little artistic artsy kind of I would say it's definitely what's the word I'm looking for, it's avant-garde, if you will, very experimental, and big for its own its own ability to like be able to put it all together. It's trying too hard at trying to be massive with its kind of scale, but in the end, it fails to be able to, pull the trigger. So it's just kind of like, like I was saying before, I feel like it's incompleted. But definitely, what I did like about it, not to put it at number one, is that it had no expectation. It had no. All it could do is be itself and have some interesting things to say and do. And for me, it was just not enough to put it at number one. But it, yes, really not much I can find on this to ever go back to ever again. Other than to hear somebody remix it and put their own stuff over top of it or add to it, then I'd go back to it. But until, yeah, it's just kind of a sad, confusing record that just really doesn't know how to use any of the things that it's doing to coherently make a song that feels natural. So we'll just put it at that. And number two, Quedeca's Sorry I Didn't Mean to Haunt You is the one.
No, it's number two. What are you talking about?
Number two. That's number two. I mean, no, number two. I mean, yeah, you're right.
See, I
Is
see
the
what I
one
did
for
there.
is the one for this selection? Yes. Is the
I'm
thing.
busting your balls. Don't worry about it.
I know you do.
I'm trying to keep it PG-13 here. No,
That's right. That's
maybe we can go rated R. Who cares? But no, no. But all right. We talked about this. I forget who mentioned this already, but I'm gonna just come out and say because I haven't gone back to their other stuff yet, but because this one was left a questionable taste in my mouth, like it's kind of like when you eat something, you're like, oh, that's good, but I might go try more food of it. More food. This is Five Finger Death Punch. They're good. I haven't gone back and listened. I know Kyle's gonna kill me right now because I haven't gone back to their other albums yet. Because I'm sure there's other stuff on there that other songs they've created that are really good. Other albums too, I'm sure. But given that, not the lyrics, god damn it, sorry. But this one, I was going to it like kind of like the way Mike was with Simple Minds. I was like, you know what? I have no idea what to expect. Let me just put it on and play it. And I did, and there was just kind of like the Def Leppard scenario for me, where my jaw was open. I was like, what am I listening to, kind of thing. But it wasn't like it wasn't as in shock. Because with Def Leppard, I knew the songs going into it. I knew not songs going into it, but I knew like their catalog. I knew where they were coming from for the most part. But that was like, what the hell was going on? This one for me was like, it's like I didn't. A lot of questionable choices, like lyrically. We talked about if you again go back and listen to it. We talked about this earlier this year, but this one was like, it wasn't like. It's difficult to explain, but like. I would go back and listen to more of their material, more of their albums. I've been so busy in my personal life. Forgive me. I've been so busy. I haven't gotten around to it, but I would go back and listen to more of their stuff. But this one was just left me like with a questionable, like, okay, like it's like a big, weird, strange question mark going on there. But like, I was throwing around with this one a little bit. I was like, you know what? I mean, this was their most recent album. It came out this year. But I am willing to go and listen to other stuff. And Kyle, I need you to recommend me a couple albums, truthfully.
Literally any of their first four.
Okay, their first four. I thank you. I'll start at number one and I'll go in from there. Because then my mind might change. I'm like, oh, then Afterlife wasn't as bad as I thought it was, or my opinion might change. I don't know yet. But if I go to the first
you'll
four,
still think that you may think this one's even worse.
Okay,
it may make you think this one's even worse than you already do.
I tried bringing that up, but I wasn't sure. But yeah, I will check out their first four albums for sure. I'll just save the first four and just listen to them whenever I have time. So
start at their third, American Capitalist. That was their peak in my opinion. That's one of those rare albums where every song is just like a hit front to back.
Okay. So you said the third album, you said American Capitalist? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I will definitely check that. But this one for me was like, I remember when we were doing our review of it, I was like, yeah, I really didn't know what to expect, and I was kind of let down quite a bit. It was unfortunate. It was sad. But that doesn't mean, like, as Kyle and Mike have always said, that doesn't, based on their taste and all of our tastes together, that does not mean their whole band sucks as a band. I mean, I'm more than willing to go check out more of their stuff too. But this was a big question mark weird, strange letdown for me. That was just me though. But yeah, so that's my number 2, and my number 1 might shock Kyle, but let's put it that way. So let's go from there.
I have a feeling I can predict both your number ones.
You probably can. We'll have to see.
Woo!
I mean, this might surprise. I mean, mine might surprise you. But yeah. Anyways, now we're down to our final number ones. Kyle, what is your number 1 stinker of 2022?
Come on, Kyle, do it.
My number 1 is one that we did not talk about on this.
Kyle, you freaking
no.
you suck.
But it is one of not only the worst albums, not only the worst album of the year, one of the worst albums I've heard in a long time. And that would be 5 Seconds of Summer's latest album, 5 Sauce 5.
Oh boy.
Terrible album name. I understand. It's like their whole abbreviation, 5 Sauce and then 5 is the same front and back. Whoa, no way. This sucks. This album is so bloated, especially with the bonus tracks added in. Every song sounds the same. It is so uninspired. I've never seen a band have more of a quality drop in my life. And it's not just starting with this album. Their first and second were just straight pop punk records, to the point where their first and a little bit of second were mainly written. Almost every single song was co-written by either Alex Gaskarth from All Time Low or the Madden brothers from Good Charlotte. Those 2 records were like up here. They were incredible pop punk records for, that time and for like a younger audience. And then the third album came out and it was like huge drop down in quality. Then the fourth one kind of continued that, but a little worse. And this one came out and I couldn't find a single thing on this that was salvageable. At least on the other 2 before that, I could find at least 1 or 2 songs here and there that's like, all right, that's just like, a standard pop song, but it's not bad. It's pretty okay. Every single thing on this thing was atrocious to listen to. And it all sounded the same. It doesn't sound like a band. It sounds like one dude, and I know it's not, they all do vocals at some point, but it is one of the biggest letdowns here. I'm going to actually pull it up real quick because I got to see the exact runtime real quick. Hold on. All right. This album is an hour and 4 minutes long, 19 tracks. That's counting the deluxe edition. But this was, I think, the most trouble I've had getting through a record in years. I had to actually stop and start on this many times. But I couldn't just sit down and go through this. It was so boring. And that to me is a crime in music that you cannot come back from, is just an entire record of boring material, uninspired, huge letdown. Not really much more to say about it. It's so bad that I can't even find more things to say on it. Every single aspect of this record was atrocious. I don't understand why the ratings for it were as good as they were. I look at the fan comments and, I understand, YouTube and social media, all their fans are going to be loving on it because it's something that they release. But my God, even critics were into this and I just don't understand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm out of the loop. I don't know. It was just a modern pop record that all blends together and all just kind of if it was in the background of a Macy's while I was shopping for jeans, I'd be like, okay, this is just on in the background, whatever. That's what this album is. It's an album made for department store shopping.
Yeah, for sure.
You might even say it's a complete mess. The first single.
I very much would say that. And that is, honest to God, probably the best song on the album. And that's saying something because I can't even stand that one.
Nice.
So that about wraps it up for me. Horrendous album. That was my
Are there any,
what
were your other honorable mentions for the list? I forget you mentioned
Disturbed's Divisive. That one was actually tied with Def Leppard score wise.
Yeah.
But I had to, figure one out. The one under that, Wednesday 13's Horror Fire album, Big fan of Wednesday 13. Really like him. This one, kind of a misstep. Not in terms of, it's very standard. I don't know how familiar either of you are with his catalog. I don't think JT would be at all.
I don't
Mike,
know.
you might be.
Hmm.
Just more like horror punk stuff.
Yeah.
Not as good as his older material, but kind of a letdown. And then the Kendrick Lamar's latest album was my last honorable mention.
Oh wow.
No one,
Dishonorable mention, I guess.
no one who crashed Ticketmaster. Gotcha. I was just checking to see it. Oh yeah, I was just checking to see if there's someone in there.
People that crashed Ticketmaster were more just mediocre rather than bad.
Okay.
So
I was just checking.
my bottom ones that I count as dishonorable mentions weren't ones that were mediocre. They were ones that I would label as on the bad side, like below a 3 out of 5.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. All right.
Yeah. But yeah, that Kendrick Lamar album that would land me in hot water. Apparently people really loved that one, and I haven't listened to it, and I just didn't get it. And that's coming from someone that's liked his past work. So
JT, can you flash his address on the screen just quick? Yeah, sure, just flash it up there. Yeah,
we're going to Google Maps right now, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on a second. There we go.
Yeah, we can locate Kyle, Kyle.
Kyle, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Kyle Q. Just
kidding. Might be the only one.
Probably are the only one. All right. So your number one is 5 Seconds of Summer. 5 Sauce.
5 Sauce 5.
Oh,
also,
sorry.
Just look at the aesthetic for this album. Look at the aesthetic for all this.
It's stupid.
Awful. Looks like 90s like trippy boy band crap.
It looks horrible.
Everything about it, from the music to the aesthetic to the attitude.
There's nothing to it. It's just
it's so bland. This is the like epitome of just. You guys ever have to do like communion in like the Catholic Church? They give you that like crappy flavorless wafer.
Oh no, you're right.
This is the musical equivalent of that.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. Flat you can't even get around it. Oh. That was bad. That's wow. I might have to listen to this. Is it worse than Jordy? That's what I want to know.
Yes.
No way.
Wow.
100%. Because at least in Jordy, there are things that you can pull out as like, well, that was laughably bad, or there's other parts of it that's like, oh, Memories is a good song. This song's not too bad. There's not a single track on this that's like that.
Oh my god.
Even if Jordy came out this year, would not have been my number one.
This isn't 30 Seconds to Mars, right? Sorry,
no,
it's banned completely.
Oh my god!
It unfortunately is not.
Sorry, I'm the older person in the channel. If you have a number in your title, I'm pretty much unsure of if you're Blink 182 or you're 5 Seconds.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, Sum 41's good, but 5 Seconds to Summer is just another. I don't even know their existence.
182 Seconds to Mars.
Coming soon, a cover band near you.
Nice.
All right, Mike.
All right.
Number one.
This has come no surprise. Kyle knows it. JT's already locked in on it. First, I'm gonna name my a couple of albums in my own personal listenings that I just fell very short of what I really wanted to. Arch Enemy's Deceivers. It's a terrible album. It's just a terrible album. It is not good. So that's not my number one. That's just an album that I'm mentioning. Also, Chicago's album was a could have made the list, not number one, but that's just like a honorable mention to the worst albums of 2022. Like, it just, with all their massive success in the past, looking at that album, it's just like, you think anything they do that can't even come close to it is a letdown. And and a lot of it felt manufactured. Like the horns felt very like, hey, we need to do this to make you feel nostalgic, and we'll when you go to concerts, it'll all sound uniform, but in reality it's just kind of a way to make you feel like you're able to relive the past. And what are you going to do when a band's been around that long? It's just, there's no other way. So but for my number one, obviously Trailer Swift's Midnight Trailer. It's just a dumpster fire for me. It really, It really is like the epitome of someone who like it's like, hey, those shoes are Nike. I like that's a good name brand. Cool. Like I'll wear it because it looks cool, but like underneath it's just soulless, musicless garbage. Like it just literally is just kind of a complete departure from any of the other music I've heard from Taylor Swift. And I'm not a Swiftie. I'm not somebody who knows all of her music, but I know music when I hear it. And there's very little on this album, very little. And it barely achieves a heartbeat at times. It barely, the only song was the the one that made the radio. The
Anti-hero.
What is it?
Anti-hero.
Yeah, anti-hero. Yeah. And I mean, that's it's okay. It's not bad. It's not good. It's like when I hear it, I'm like tapping my fingers and it's a little catchy, but like it's not catchy for the good reason. It's just kind of like nagging at you to pay attention to it. And the lyrics are just weird. The whole thing is just weird, just to be honest with you. So I I just I have no desire to kind of hear the next album that she's going to put out, but like I know I'm going to end up doing it just because the world has just gone insane. Like somebody is playing a horrible trick on me, and that this is like the music that everyone looks up to. And
Well, you're gonna have to listen to it to review here anyway. So
I know,
get ready.
I know. Like I said, I'm gonna end up having to listen to it because it's relevant to the current world's like obsessive nature of just like I don't know, like I'm depressed or I'm breaking up with my boyfriend or whatever kind of like girl power rock question mark, just music. But yeah, so but yeah, it's just not good. So number one, Taylor Swift's Midnights. Yeah, there you go. And go and flash my address up on there, JT. I go and get Google Maps up. So
I got Google Maps.
yeah, that way. Yeah. While Kyle's being stabbed to death by the 5 seconds of summer kid, I'll be being like crucified by a bunch of like 14-year-old like.
For those of you wondering where Mike lives, Mike is going to be he's going to be crucified.
Mike is home between the hours of
exactly. Come find me. I'll leave
if
the door
you find
unlocked.
him in his sleep. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll be sitting in a bathtub, completely naked, drinking a bottle of like freaking Captain Morgan, so that way I can go out in a
Ahoy.
Ahoy!
Captain Morgan.
Yeah.
Well.
Come on, do it, JT. Join me. Join me.
Wait. I have to give my little preamble speech. Hold on one sec. All right. So look, I had something else in my worst spot, as in my number one spot. But the more I thought about it, as leading up to now and making a list and doing our stream tonight and writing off our list, let me tell you what I had in this spot too. But I put it down to honorable mention. I had Panic at the Disco's "Viva Las Vengeance."
Yeah,
that was
That was a rough one. Yeah,
that was
rough.
Yeah.
That is my honorable mention. I'll go into just for a brief second. But Panic at the Disco is a band that I actually really respect. I think Brendan Urie is a very talented man. But look, this is a guy you're listening to a guy who willingly reached out to a fan account who had an inner circle saying, "Hey, what's going on with Brendan Urie?" And he was the guy who told me, he said, "Hey, he's going to release a new single in June and it's going to sound like Queen." I'm like, "All right, cool. I'm excited." And then the album came out and I was like, "All right, what is this?"
It sounded like Queen, all right.
It sure did. It really was like, hey, everybody, I'm Brendan Urie. What's going on? I'm Brendan Urie.
Brendan Urie.
No. But that I listened to that. I took the best tracks off that and I added it into a playlist just because I liked probably 3 out of the 7 or 10 or 12 or however. I liked a couple of tracks off there more than I thought I did initially. The title track and like 1 or 2 others. But it's one thing to listen to something and it's another thing to fall asleep to something.
Mhm, mhm.
I'm not changing the screen. This is my. I am a huge Swiftie,
Ah,
ladies and gentlemen. Kyle is gonna murder me tonight.
Kyle.
Oh
Kyle's
no,
gonna
I'm
reach up
not.
there.
I'm not too far off from you on this one.
Okay, okay,
But for me, this was just more mediocre than
okay.
bad.
So, okay, so hear me out for a sec, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages out there listening to us.
That's
When you tell me that we are never ever going to get back together after this, you're damn right. But listen, my Molly, I'm sorry. This was a terrible album. This was so bad. Oh my God. Listen to me. Listen. Hold on. And the fact that okay, like I don't hate this album. There's albums that I hate. We joke about Jordy. I hate Jordy to death, except for Beautiful Mistakes and Memories occasionally, right? But like this one, I don't hate it. It's just so much questionable. Like, why? And the fact that it was less about the music, it was more about like the after, like the not the impact, but like, no, it's the impact it made. The fact that the Billboard Hot 100 had 10 Taylor Swift songs and broke a record from this one album alone. I was like, what is going on in the world?
Yeah.
What you have more? There's more to life than what you're doing.
Yeah, right.
Listen, get off your toilet and realize that there's other music out there. Like, let's be real. There's so much other great music out there besides just this one album. God, people, and I go on Spotify. I'm like, all 10 of her sponsors filled with this album. I'm like, guys, it's not that great.
And that's why I kind of mentioned
recency bias wears off.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned Quedeca. Is Quedeca's album worse than Taylor Swift's Midnight's?
Yes.
Structurally, yes.
Yes.
And music, like overall, like organizationally and overall is like just blended and all this. Absolutely. But does Quedeca have anything to live up to that Taylor Swift doesn't? Hell no. Like I've heard Taylor Swift's previous stuff and I'm like, that's a great song.
I mean,
like everything's great about it.
Like, let's be honest, she has some of the best pop album, like objectively some of the best pop albums of not only the century, of all time. Like 1989 is one of the best pop records I ever made.
Love Shake It Off. Okay, that album is incredible.
And I mean, although I can't echo that I agree with any of those statements, I do admit to you that when I hear a song from one of those albums, I can go, that song has like it has a catchiness to it. At no point do I feel like I'm falling asleep or I have to check myself into Mid-Hudson Regional Hospital because you just
disclose where you're gonna go tonight so they can find you.
Now they know I'm near Mid-Hudson Regional. But I mean, they're not my cup of tea, her previous stuff, besides a couple of songs, but I hear it and go, like, not bad, not great, but not bad. This one, I couldn't utter those words, besides the Antihero one. Everything else was it was just like a fart in the wind, man. It was just
direction of the midnight.
Direction of the fart of the midnight, farting at midnight.
The midnight fart.
Midnight fart direction. Yeah.
No. But like, listen, true story. Like, so the weekend before we did our stream for the review of this album, I listened to it. My girlfriend's gonna kill me, but I listened to this album. It was her top Spotify artist was Taylor Swift. I'm like, oh God, what am I doing? So bear with me, everyone. Forgive me. My girlfriend said, she said, hey, can we listen to the Taylor Swift album on the way up? Because we're going to Boston that weekend. We're going to Salem, whatever, for like Halloween, right? And she's like, hey, let's put on. I'm not kidding to either one of you. I was literally half falling asleep. And I'm driving. It was the worst part of it. Anti-hero. It's like maroon or whatever. No, I mean, it just there was nothing I would go back to. Maybe anti-hero, but the fact that she is not, and I hate people. I don't use this word often. I hate when people bash her because like, oh, she's not talented. She has all the success in the world because she is talented. Kyle can back me up on that.
Oh yeah, and she actually writes most of her stuff on her own. And if anything, it's usually one one other person, maybe two,
Yeah,
helping her, and it's usually different people.
exactly.
Yeah.
But
right.
and the fact that she is a very talented, she's very got an incredible singing voice. But the fact that she put out this, and look, I will say though, I mean, as someone who enjoyed Folklore, I know you didn't, but as someone who enjoyed Folklore more for what they were though, this was a step up. I agree with you, but I hope her
Yeah.
next album is like more of like that, welcome to New York. It's been waiting
Well,
for you.
I
You know what mean? Come
question a lot of people's
Sorry.
thoughts that this album sounds like 1989.
No, it
I've
does
heard a
not.
lot of people say that, and like, no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
It has some more pop leaning elements, but it's essentially if Folklore and Evermore were pop instead of folk.
Yeah,
It's that
exactly.
same thing. It's like indie pop where there's hardly any beats going on. There's like no instrumentation.
Yeah.
And when there is, it's not exciting.
I agree.
The thing that saved this from being lower for me is there are a handful of songs I actually really like, on Antihero being one of them. I love that song.
Yeah, I enjoy it too, but that's like
There's a
the
lot
one
of
saving
bonus
grace.
tracks I think are solid.
Yeah.
Karma, I think, is a solid song. I actually really like Snow on the Beach.
Mm.
But a majority of
mute
it,
Kyle. No, I'm just kidding. Just
the
kidding.
majority of it though, I don't think is bad as it is
You are
just
being
boring.
you've been summoned before the tribunal, Kyle.
All you see is a hook. A hook come
it's
in.
just a boring record. Like I wouldn't say there's a lot on it that's objectively bad. Like I don't think there's anything on here other than maybe like a couple of things. Like there's 2 songs I think that I would say are objectively bad songs. The rest of it's just boring and forgettable.
I agree.
But whereas you have like the ones on my list that I put on here are albums that are just loaded with bad song after bad song.
Somewhere there are screaming girls, like literally, and they're not screaming nice things at us right now. But yeah,
All 2 of them that watch us.
Full disclosure, she's like my second favorite artist.
I know.
When this was supposed to come out, and you see the aesthetic and all like the promotional images and everything, it looks like it was going to be like a 70s inspired, like Fleetwood Mac inspired,
like that kind of
rock record.
Yeah.
Well, no way were you
we
wrong.
got something super far from that, and I was like, well, this is a letdown.
It's lo-fi, bro. Isn't Lo-Fi Girl? Isn't there like an artist named Lo-Fi Girl?
I'm sure there is. Lo-fi is awful though.
Yeah, and for like a game I play, that's the artist that they're featuring, Lo-Fi Girl, and like I don't know, this just sounded like chasing some kind of a fad going on. Lo-fi music, it's at midnight. It's something you listen to at midnight to chill out if you're going to the club with your girls, and I don't know.
So Mike, I take it you were not one of the people trying to get tickets to the Eras tour?
No, I bought tickets so I could give them to homeless people, so I could have them show up to the show.
Give them to me first.
Yeah,
me too, bro.
I don't want you guys being influenced by this kind of music, so I would not give these. I want you to skip this one and wait for her next album, then I'll give you the tickets. But I want you to trust me, when you go to see this show, she's going to play way too many of these songs, so don't do it. Just wait till next year. Trust me, it'll be better.
Kyle, we're gonna have to wait.
I don't think we'll really get tickets to her shows ever again at the rate it's going. So
no, of course. She's like the most popular artist in the world practically. So
yeah, save your money, man.
Yeah, we'll have to get the resale market on TickPick. Just saying.
I check the prices every so often.
Don't get me started.
Ticket prices are still like $600 for nosebleeds.
Don't get me started.
With limited view. They're like the ones that are like half behind the stage, so you can't really see anything.
It's ridiculous.
And people are like, "Yeah, we'll take $600."
And go. You can do with $600. You could literally go see like 6 good artists.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like
good artists.
Good artists. Yeah.
My plan is to wait until the day of the show, because no one's going to be selling them for those high prices. Then they're going to be selling them for whatever the hell people will give them.
Let's do it. You and me both.
Yeah, stay outside. My goal scalp outside and scalp.
We're gonna be outside MetLife Stadium, and be like, "Hey, are you guys selling tickets? You guys selling tickets?
Yeah,
scalpers here. Hey, where's my cut?" Sure. But anyways, that is my number one. I was as someone who literally does dances to Shake It Off, I'm saying this in there, who dances to Shake It Off all practically on any given basis.
Don't do that, JT. Don't tell people.
I just admitted it though.
Our viewers just dropped from 5 to 2. All right, look, like we just
So
what's
I
going
also just want to
on?
point out, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the two of you had 4 out of 5 in common.
That's crazy.
I know that JT. But I do have to admit there were a bunch of other albums in 2022 that I didn't listen to all the way, but were I mean, obviously not as bad as these, but they were in my wheelhouse, but
Yeah.
failing my wheelhouse. Whereas like I don't go out of my way to listen to every artist. Like I'm not like Anthony Fantano who just like listen to every single freaking artist out there, and even if they're not into them and then make comments about them. I listen to mostly music that I've heard of, and I sample a couple tracks, and if I'm kind of liking it, then I'll listen to it. For the most part, if someone asks me to listen to something, I will listen to it wholeheartedly, and but I'm not just gonna go hunting down like, hey, there's a some random artist who just came out this year, put out an album that everyone's talking about. I'm gonna do it because everyone's talking about it. No, like if anything, I'm running away from those albums because like it's the ones everyone's talking about are there's so much money behind them. There's so much pressure by a music industry that is trying to change the sound into today's music, which I've never been a huge fan of. So I tend to go to the underground, the lesser knowns, the artists who are the struggling artists. Those are the artists that I flock towards, when it comes to, who I'm listening to.
See, I'm pretty much with you in terms of I don't go out of my way to listen to things I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
In terms of full albums, unless I enjoy what I hear. So yeah, most of my list, that's why I was debating on the Chicago edition of my list, because I was like, yeah, I listened to it in full, but there's someone that I don't normally listen to. Like it's someone that I wouldn't, like if someone didn't tell me to listen to it,
right,
I wouldn't have listened to that record.
Right. Definitely.
So yeah, that's where I'm at too. Is like there's a lot of albums that came out this year that, in terms, like you said, that are more in my wheelhouse that kind of let me down.
Yeah, right.
I mean, even Nickelback. I'll be that guy. I like Nickelback. Their new record, not great. Upon Burning Body, on the heavier side, their new record is pretty average, kind of let down. Slipknot, as we reviewed. I mean, there's just so many great bands this year. Panic at the Disco.
2022 has been not good.
It's just so mediocre. It's so many of the albums are just average.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully 2023 does bring up the bar, though.
And JT, I just want to also mention, you had mentioned that Panic at the Disco is almost your number one.
Yeah.
The reason that I didn't include them in mine was mainly because objectively, like musicianship and songwriting wise and performance wise, it's a solid piece of work.
Right.
My personal taste, it's one of my least favorite of the year.
Right. No,
like if I was going just purely on my personal taste, it'd be on this list. Yeah. But musicianship wise, I couldn't just
take the vocals out, and it's not as horrible as
exactly.
And that's sometimes look at Quedeca. Like seriously, you could take out his vocals and you could add vocals in over top of his music, maybe cut off some bull crap that's he led on with, maybe even kind of repeat a part that I liked. You could tweak some of it, like I was talking about before. Take something out and put something in. It's not far away from being something that's actually pretty digestible. Those are the kind of albums that won't make my top. Like for example, Taylor Swift's album, everything in that album to me was absolute, just it fell short. The music was barely music. The vocals were whispered at half the time, barely sang. None of it was memorable except Antihero. Like there is no redeeming quality. Like you could overdub it with something new, it wouldn't change it. And that's exactly my point. Is there's albums on my list that you could you could doctor up, you could add new vocals, you could maybe edit some of it. This one's too long, this whatever, and it could become better. That one is one that just cannot come better. So that's why it's where it's at, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think that's
All
gonna do
right.
it for us, guys. Right, guys?
Yep.
That's it.
All right. Well, listen, that was our top 5 worst albums of 2022. That's also our last stream of the year for us, man. This is
We did it.
crazy.
Yeah.
And to
Made it
think,
to
I
the
just want to
end.
Yes.
I want to just explain those of you who might be wondering, how did this show come about? Literally, it started with me and Kyle. I was like, I felt the urge to say, is it time to do another show on the channel? Because we had Mixed Bag going for a while. And I said to Kyle, I said, I want to talk about 21st Century Breakdown by Green Day with Kyle. And it just started that way. And then we did a whole year's worth of videos and podcasts, and Mike came along into the pictures too. And he was like, and the reviews are being uploaded this week. I'm not going to get to them tonight, but I will upload them throughout the week for my reaction to my 4 songs, Kyle's and Mike's as well, and those will drop throughout the week as well. And by the way, guys, I did edit them, so now Kyle's four songs are in order, Mike's 4 songs are in order, and it's our reaction to those songs as well, and mine are up there in 4 as well. So it's got 3 separate videos too, so they're all ready to go. The texts are in them, and they're waiting to be shown. So
We'll see you next year, right?
yeah, literally.
See you next year.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next year in 2023.
I like that joke.
Never gets old.
That's right. Dad jokes for days.
Just like dad jokes. Dad jokes never get old too. So,
Right.
but yeah, but we want to thank you for watching, listening, however you enjoyed us tonight. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, we do this all. We're done for this year because we're taking a break because it's Christmas next week and whatnot and stuff like that in the US. But it's just have a wonderful holiday season as well. We'll see you guys in the new year. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and simply support our Patreon as well. It's on our YouTube channel as well. We'd love to do.
Right.
I gotta plug that as well. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, listening. We'll see you guys next year. Hard to believe, but we'll see you guys next year.